You know, it's funny how nostalgia can change your mind about something. Turning 40 made me start to look back a lot more than usual at a lot of the games I played only a little bit or ones that I missed entirely. And with the industry being complete garbage, in my opinion, right now, with all their woke crap, you know, the microtransaction abuse, live service shenanigans, release now, patch it later nonsense, this spring and summer provided a great opportunity for me to reflect on the past 20 years or so. It's also kind of a way for me to pump the brakes a little bit on this life thing because it's going by really, really fast, and it's just nice to stop every now and then and just try to slow down and reflect on things. Take a look at some of the stuff you might have missed. I don't know, in some vain attempt to slow things down. Like I said, the past 20 years, man, it just flew by. And I know the next 20 years are going to go by even faster. So that's why I wanted to do this, and that's what I've been doing here on the past, I don't know, the past 3 or 4 months or so. You'll notice I'm looking back at games like Silent Hill 3, etc. Just all the 20-year anniversary stuff. EQA really got me going on that, so I decided I would check out Phantasy Star Online. I haven't played that in years, and I only played it for like 2 or 3 months. And I tried to log into it years ago, but I didn't know much about computers at the time, and I didn't have the patience. Every time I fired my blaster, it would crash. So recently I figured out how to do that. I didn't really care about it, and I moved on. But I've known how to fix that for a while. But I came back to it finally, got it patched up, you know, got just fixed some things. I had to change a couple of settings. And yeah, it got me thinking about other games. So I just started installing a whole bunch of stuff. I started looking around at old games, old servers that might be around, and Phantasy Star Online, that was the first one, and then Phantasy Star Universe. Immediately I wanted to check that one out too. And it's kind of weird, because I really didn't like that game that much when I first played it. And that's what I meant by how nostalgia can kind of change your mind. And I'm not just saying nostalgia goggles here. It got me to look at it again. And after looking at it again, I feel like I unjustly judged that game years ago as an inferior product. I mean, I just remember not liking the mag system compared to PSO. I didn't like the light people walking around. It seemed to me like it was just this generic thing where they didn't have enough memory or something to render the characters. But no, evidently there's something to do with the story with that. I don't know. But it just really turned me off as soon as I saw like all these different colored shadow-like people or photon people walking around. I didn't understand it. It just felt odd. It looked different. It didn't have the same, you know, art style and everything. And I kind of brushed it off, and that was a mistake. I'm realizing that now. And part of what really pulled me back into it was as soon as I went into my room and the room music hit. I know that a lot of you probably feel the same way. Just the original room music, nothing that you put on the jukebox. But those are awesome too. There's tons of different things to choose from. But it took me back to Christmas 2007, 2008, right around there. And this is when the Missus first came out. You know, we met like only about a year and a half before that. So we finally got to play a Phantasy Star game together, and she sent me the original Xbox. I'm getting ahead of myself here. She sent me the original Xbox and a copy of Phantasy Star Online, but we never got online with it to play it. And I only played it for like I said, like 2 or 3 months. And people just handed me all these hacked mags and everything, so I didn't really get to experience PSO. So I want to do that, but then, oddly enough, Phantasy Star Universe pulled me in more. I'm already up to like level 107 or something like that. I didn't expect that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go and dabble with this for a little bit. But no, man, I really got sucked into it. And something interesting happened. I learned that the portable games really went crazy too. They have PlayStation Portal. They have a Phantasy Star portable game, Phantasy Star Portable 2, Infinity Edition, that only came out in Japan. And I'm looking back like, how did I miss all of this stuff? And furthermore, why didn't this come to 360 and the PC? It would have been huge. This is like the definitive edition of Phantasy Star Universe. It's just awesome. There's so much more you can do. There's a lot to it. I've only like scratched the surface, but like, man, it was stuck on a portable, and only in Japan. It never came over here. So I'm playing the English translation again, thanks to fans. Thank God. All this time I've been praising fans for the past few months for fixing Silent Hill 2 for the PC, for fixing Scarface, doing the remastered project for that. All the stuff that fans have done. It's just so awesome how people have brought all this stuff back. But it goes to show you that it's about the passion, not the money. You can really tell when you see all these different projects that are run by the fans that it's a passionate thing. It's not about people making money. So yeah, it's just, I don't know, man. I take a look at what's going on with the industry, and I can't stand it. I can't stand the way they're trying to brainwash me with all their crap. I don't want any of that. I want nothing to do with that. They're not really doing anything too innovative. The graphics, yeah, they're great, but I'm not that big on graphics. So going back, it's been interesting. The community, that's another thing. The community is really friendly. No, I haven't seen anybody argue, and I've been playing on the server now about 2 weeks. Something like that. And on the Phantasy Star Online server, I don't see any drama. I'm sure it happens, but I don't really see it. I've never seen it at all. Looking back when I played back in the day, I never seen it once. Why? Well, because it's just kind of a simple game where people don't sweat your gear score. They're not being jerks. You kind of mash 1 or 2 buttons, kill stuff, collect your loot. Everybody gets their own loot, and you move on. So that just lends itself to a really nice community. Plus, it's an older game, so most of the people that are going to be interested in it, they're going to be older and more mature. And it's just been a really great experience. And just running around some of these areas, I love how they made the hub worlds. That's another thing I didn't give this credit for. There's these hub zones in between missions. So let's say you go out and you run a mission or two, just in case you don't know anything about these games. You run one mission, and then in between there'll be like a vendor area where you can just chill and hang out with other people. And each one of these is different. One of them was like a hot springs, and I remember everybody hanging out there during the summer event in their swimsuits and stuff. I remember hanging out with the missus and chilling there. It was just really cool. And I saw a lot of these places again, and I just remembered all the people coming and going back and forth. Now, of course, Clementine, that's the server I'm playing on. It's not going to be anything like back in the day on PS2 or even 360. We played on PS2, and that shut down before the 360, but that's neither here nor there. It's really sad when an online RPG gets shut down. It just stinks, because you've got a lot of people that are really connected to it, but I've seen them peak around 98 people. So when you go into these hub areas, they're not bustling like they used to be back in the day. So, that kind of bums you out. But it's nothing like playing EQOA right now. EQOA is not done. If you don't know about that, EverQuest Online Adventures was an MMORPG on PlayStation 2. And we're working on getting that back. Well, I'm not, but there's people working on getting that back. And right now, it's just, there's NPCs standing around. You can't really do anything. So there's this really weird feeling. It's just kind of like depression fuel, but it's also really awesome and nostalgic at the same time. But yeah, it's weird. It's kind of like going to a vacant mall. I don't know if you've ever seen those videos where your old childhood mall, it's like dead or dying, and there's nobody there. It's that same feeling. It's that quote unquote, I hate to use the term, liminal spaces kind of feel, where it's just this place should have a bunch of people here, but there's nobody here. There's all these NPCs standing around waiting to serve people, and there's nobody to be found. So it's just this creepy, uncanny feeling. And it's also sad and nostalgic at the same time. But when somebody does come across the hub you're in, and it does happen, it's just really nice. There's people I've grouped with, I've come across them just standing in front of the temple where you can increase your luck for the day. There's a lot of cool systems in this game, man. Like, this is the first game that had housing in it that I ever played. And I realized that when I was standing in there. I'm like, all the housing I've experienced in MMOs over these years, this was the first one. Like, that alone put its hooks into me more. It's like, all right, I need to explore this a little bit more. I passed this off. I was a little too harsh on this. The casino, the first time I seen anything like a casino outside of like Final Fantasy VII, right? It was like the first time I seen anything like that in an online game. Because I was coming from EQOA. That's in RuneScape. I played a little bit of RuneScape before that time, I think. It might have been after, actually. I don't know. But anyways, you had the casino, and I went to the casino just last night, and this guy was crushing it. He was winning on the roulette table like nonstop. And I decided to hop in there and play my luck as well. And I was going with him. At first, I thought it would be funny to he bets on black, I'll bet on red, we'll see who wins. And then after I saw my dude get he just cashed in like 5 times, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go with this guy. Actually, it was only twice. He ended up getting the jackpot though, so I started going with him. And it's funny, you just get 1 coin from the casino. You don't have to pay any money for this. I don't think you ever did, actually, back in the day. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, if you could buy coins. But I don't think so. But I don't know, I just remember thinking, this isn't really worth a $10 a month sub fee. There needs to be a little bit more here. And I just took off. And I think that was a mistake because there's a really solid game here. The sub fee, though, it's a little weird looking back. Because the games like this, you don't expect a sub. It's kind of like a Diablo-style game. It's deeper than that. And that brings me to my next topic. All the different systems, like the grinder system where, you augment your weapon. It seems so complex to me back then. I don't know why. I don't know if it was the way things were worded or it just wasn't like your traditional way of doing things, and they had stuff scattered all over the ship. That's another thing I like about the Infinity game on PSP, is that everything's kind of concentrated in like 1 or 2 areas. So it would be like, well, how do I upgrade my weapon? I got to go over here. I got to get these grinders. I got to put a board in, and I got to synthesize. What is this? And it was just crafting, basically. It was a little convoluted, but it was simple enough to understand all these things. But there's a lot of different systems in there, like the gas system they put in, which is basically, from my understanding, just the masterclass system from EQOA. Pretty much. It's like an extension of that. So it wasn't really complex at all. It's just, there were a lot of different systems, like I said, and they're spread all around the ship. So I just had this sense back in the day of, this is a little weird, I don't know if it's worth the money. I'm going to move on and play something else. Probably got into World of Warcraft like everybody else at the time. I think a lot of us are kind of lamenting that. Some people are going back to vanilla and they're like, yeah. And a lot of us are going, man, we let go of a lot of really cool games. World of Warcraft kind of overshadowed all this stuff over the years. I mean, is that just me? Am I the only one feeling that? I'm sure that's been a thing for years. People felt that way about WoW. They wanted to die and just get out of the way for something else. But yeah, World of Warcraft really fundamentally changed online RPGs and MMORPGs to the point where everybody just started chasing the same model and it didn't feel the same anymore. But I don't know, I feel like this is getting a little long-winded. The point is that at first I can't say I hated the game, it's a little harsh, but it didn't stick with me. It for some reason it didn't sink in. All this time away from it, looking back, I really like the combat system. It's nice and simplistic. It's just a really cool, chill game to play with people without any drama. Hang out with a really cool community. Definitely recommend you check it out. I'll be directing you guys to installation and all that stuff. I can't hook you up with like ISO links or anything like that. So don't ask. A little bit of common sense looking around, you can find stuff, but you're gonna have a hard time finding people pointing you directly to ISOs these days with how hostile things are. But I want to hear from you guys now in the comment section below. Remember to rate this a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.